Welcome everyone. My name is Mickey. Welcome to today's webinar. Today we'll be covering club level attendance. I'm your host today, Mickey. My co-host today is Michael. Michael will be handling all the Q&A during our session. He will also be handling and answering questions at the end when the formal presentation is done. So we have some ground to cover today. So what I'm going to do is we are going to begin. So this is what we'll be covering today. We're going to be talking about club website level attendance. This is not about the district. This is attendance taken in a club website. We're going to go over what all that means. We're going to talk about attendance rules. What are the rules for attendance? I'm going to talk about the reports. And then I have an and more section. This is my little catch-all because everything is going to depend on time, so that I want to cover as much as we possibly can near the end. And then I'm going to let Michael handle anything I may have missed. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to log into a club website. Okay. So I've already logged in to my club website. If you're not sure how to log in, this webinar will not cover that. We're going to have you need a very basic understanding today. So, if you are able to log in your club website, that's a really good start. I've already come and I've logged in. Just so you know, for club attendance, if you're the club secretary or the person in charge of doing attendance, you do need a certain access level, okay? On a club website, every member has an access level. So if you don't have the correct access level, you need an access level of 660 or higher in order to do club attendance. If you are trying to follow along today, but your club access or some of the commands are grayed out, it means that your club access is not high enough. So speak to your club president and they'll upgrade your access level. So I'm logged in today as a website administrator, meaning I have full access to the website. You may be logged in as what's called here a club executive. If you're the club secretary, club membership chair, so on, you may have this access level on the club website. So I'm going to jump right in and we're going to start using the attendance module. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the top blue tabs right here. And I'm going to go to attendance. So using the top blue tabs, I'm going to click here on attendance, this blue tab right here. And then I'm going to click on dashboard. We're going to start right from the very start, the first gray button, which is dashboard. So I'm going to click on dashboard and we're going to look at our attendance dashboard. This is, I don't know if it's a touch small. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger today. I hope this will help you see my screen a little bit better. Okay, so this is the attendance dashboard. So today we'll be covering the club attendance, club level attendance. And the first screen that you can click on is called the dashboard. The dashboard is essentially an overview of your club attendance so far, some statistics and trends. Trends is really important. This is all fake data that I've generated. I did this on purpose because, as you can see, I don't know if you noticed the trend that our attendance is going down a little bit. This dashboard screen is kind of helping you to visualize how your attendance is happening over time. Is your attendance growing, shrinking, staying the same? So that's what this dashboard is. It's essentially just a way to view your attendance at a glance. Before we get to meetings, because that's the next thing I'm going to click on right here is meetings. I first want to talk about the rules, our attendance rules, and what does that mean? We're just going to skip a few things just for the moment, and I want to go to attendance rules / settings because this is a little bit of our setup. If this is the first time you're using attendance, it's nice to know what rules you have set up or settings. I'm going to click here on attendance rules/settings. And this brings me to the settings page. So what this page lists, and I'm going to scroll down slowly just so you can get a quick overview. These are the rules, settings, and guidelines for the club level attendance. Okay, so the first thing I want to discuss is the makeup eligibility window. So what that means is when your club member does an activity, let's say they volunteer somewhere, they go to a committee meeting, let's say they do something that earns that member a makeup. The makeup eligibility window, how long does that makeup last for? Or how long does that makeup qualify? Usually, it's 60 days, it can be 90 days. That's what a lot of clubs do. Like if you do a makeup, it's good for say 90 days. I've set our club makeups to last a year or 365 days, meaning if any member qualifies and receives a makeup, that makeup can be applied anytime within that Rotary year. And so that's what this number denotes. How long should a makeup last for? 1 day all the way up to a year, 365. There's another setting as well, which you can turn on and off. Limit the eligibility to the year it was reported for. We recommend you turn this setting on. What this means, the limit makeup eligibility window to the year, is because the makeup can go back in time all the way 365 days, you want to keep it to within the Rotary year, because especially in the case of our club, which has a 1 year makeup, I don't want to apply the makeup to the prior Rotary year. I want to keep all the makeups in this year. And if you're not sure what a makeup is, we'll go over that. But I just want to make sure that you kind of understood how these rules work. Okay, I'm going to scroll down and I want to talk about these membership types. Okay, so these are your standard membership types, the first two. Active, which is going to be most of your club is going to be active, and then honorary. So there are check boxes for active and honorary. The active, the check boxes in the always count column. What that means is that if I'm an active member, you're an active member, most of your club is going to be an active member. The attendance always counts. If I'm present at a meeting, great, I get counted for that meeting. If I'm absent, my absence counts and it brings my attendance figures down. That's what always counts mean. We'll call it the normal or standard way of being counted in attendance. There are two more ways you can be counted. Honorary members usually have the count if attended designation set to them. So what count if attended means, the honorary member comes to a meeting, fantastic, they get counted. But their absences are not counted. So if they miss 1 meeting, 20 meetings, their attendance percentage always stays at 100% because they're in this column, count if attended. Okay. And then the final designation we have for your membership is never count. So never count, what that means is basically we're not going to count them in our attendance figures. And we're going to talk about, we're going to get to leave of absence in a moment, but basically whether they come, whether they don't come, it never lowers or increases your club's attendance numbers. They're not really counted. Okay. So we talked about active and honorary. Let's talk about some special designations. There are excused members. Why are they excused? They might be excused for several reasons, but I'm just going to use the catch-all term excused members. They are count if attended. Now, what you can do in this case is you can actually generate a list of your excused members. This is slightly different than leave of absence, which is the last thing we're going to talk about. But an excused member can be excused for whatever reason your club decides. If you click here on the members list, I can click on members, and what I can do is, this is the list of my excused members. There's 3 people on this list. These people have the designation count if attended, Judith, Charles, and Catherine. And if I remove, let's say I remove Catherine off this list, that means that she is no longer going to receive that special. I'm sorry, I clicked the go back button. That means she's no longer going to get that special excused member status. Now, if I click on members right here, and I click on add member right here, I can add someone else to the list. I'm just going to choose Sue Baker because she's alphabetically first. When is the effective date? When does her excused member status count? You know what? We'll count it last week. So Friday, May 6th, for example. I'll click save. And now Sue is on this list. And now she's part of the people who are excused from attendance, meaning if she comes, great. If she doesn't, her absence is not counted. But you know what? I've decided I don't want Sue on the list. So I'm going to click remove. And it's going to say, are you sure you want to remove? And I'll click OK. All right. I'm going to click the go back button here right now. And I'm going to scroll down. And I want to talk about exempted members. Exempted members, it's kind of the same rule, except a different condition applies. The exempted members are a never count. Okay. So never count basically means, once again, whether they show up, whether they don't, their figures don't go into any of the attendance equations. And if you were to click on members, I'm going to click on members right now. And one person has this very special exempted member status. And I'm going to click go back. You may be thinking and looking at this, and we're going to get to leave of absence, but you may be looking at exempted members and like, I don't know if I'm not sure if I'll use that. I'm going to change this exempted member status, okay? I want to talk briefly about rule of 85. Okay, and I mean briefly, what I mean is a member, the years of Rotary service and their age must add up to 85. If it does, they qualify for a rule of 85 exemption, okay? So here's what I'm going to do, because that is not technically set up right now in the club, but let's set this up, because some club members might be wondering out there, how do I handle rule of 85? First, before I click members, I want to change the name of this. I like this excused members because I can use it for separate lists. I don't really need exempted members because we're going to talk about leave of absence. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the edit button for exempted members right now. Okay, so click edit. And what I can do is I can rename exempted members. I'll highlight this and I'll type in rule of 85 members. Now, because we're editing this, I want to show you that you can also edit the rules. So I can click, instead of never count, I can do count if attended, and I can do save. And if I scroll down, you'll now see both of these are count if attended, but this is my special rule of 85 members list. And I'm going to click here on members, and I'm going to remove the person. Lee was never a rule of 85. I'm going to remove Lee, okay? And I'm going to add someone else in. So I'm going to click add member. And remember, this has to be a special person, you know, years plus age of, years of service plus age equals 85. Let's pick Olaf Stapleton just as an example, okay? His effective date is today. I'm going to click save. Olaf had his birthday over the, let's say over the weekend. He's now, that means he's now qualified for this rule of 85. And if I click and go back, if Olaf shows up, his attendance is counted. If he doesn't show up, he's basically got 100% attendance starting on the day that I gave him the exemption, which is today, okay? And then the last thing I want to talk about is leave of absence. It's relatively straightforward, meaning if John or Mary or Sue, a member of your club, they go to wherever, they go to Los Angeles, Africa, they go somewhere on a business trip and they're gone for 2 months, you can actually exempt them from attendance for a certain period, okay? So the leave of absence, they never count. And I'm going to click edit, okay? And what I can do is I'm going to click cancel, sorry. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the leave of absence. I did that very fast. I'm going to click go back. Okay. I'm going to scroll down because I want you to see how to create a leave of absence. I'm going to click on the words leave of absence. This is a special one. And here's the list of people who've had a leave of absence. And there's usually a start and an end date. A leave of absence isn't forever. They might be gone for a month or two, sometimes 3 months. So you can define a member. You can say their leave of absence started last year around a beginning of June, and it ended last year, end of June. And if I click here on add, so in other words, most of these people, right, their leave of absence is done. You can see the end date has already passed 2021, 2017. So they no longer qualify. If you do this, for example, our friend Olaf, he does not have an end date for the leave of absence. He's essentially got an infinite or an indefinite leave of absence. I don't want that. I'm going to click delete right now. And I'm going to take Olaf off this list because Olaf is actually my rule of 85. So I'm going to click OK. All right. And I'm going to scroll down. Same with Cyril. He had a leave of absence in 2016, but there's no end date. So I'm going to click delete for Cyril. I'm going to remove Cyril. All right. And one more person, Sue Baker. So you know what, Sue Baker, what I am going to do, actually, I'm sorry, I missed that. She does have an end date. I'm sorry, I was glancing at the wrong column. So if you want to add a leave of absence, I'm going to click here on add leave of absence. Okay. You can search for a member. All right. Let's just take Eddie. All right. What's the reason? Work trip. Okay. And then the start date, let's say he's leaving tomorrow. So Saturday. And then let's say he's coming back, I don't know, June 30th, right? So this is how you will add a leave of absence. Eddie is on a work trip. He's going to be gone for basically the month of June and half of May. If I were to click add, actually, I'll do that right now. Eddie is a leave of absence, meaning his attendance figures are frozen in time until June 30th. After June 30th, after this leave of absence ends, Eddie is responsible for his attendance, just like all the other active members. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to click go back. All right, so we've talked about all these statuses. That's great. Let's actually create an attendance in meetings, and let's talk about what all this means. We've talked a little bit about dashboard. I'm going to click here on meetings. Okay, so the meetings, what this is how you keep track of all your members and whether they should come to the meetings or not. So I've created a kind of special club just to minimize the amount of meetings. Your club website may have several meetings. We're almost done this Rotary year. We're almost ready for the July 2022-23 Rotary year. So what I want to do with this special club, since it's not a real club anyways, we meet once a month. And we meet on the first Monday of every month. I wanted to show you this because not every club meets once a week. There's a lot of special clubs now. Maybe they'll meet bi-weekly, or maybe they'll have, they'll skip weeks or whatever. You can set up these meetings with any time period you want. If you have a meeting today or this week, but then maybe your club is on hiatus for 2 weeks, clubs are doing that now. They're not so stringent with a 1 meeting a week policy. So you can do that in attendance. Okay. So I've got my January to April meetings. I don't have it. I haven't input my May meeting, but I just want to talk about what all these columns mean. Okay. So when I clicked on meetings, it took me to this screen. And what this lets me see is, first of all, the default view is the default Rotary year. We're still in 21-22. If I click on previous year, I can go back to my previous year, or I can click on next year and move forward in time. Okay. And obviously I have no meetings for the future in 2022, 23. So I'm going to click on the 21-22 year. And what all these columns mean. Now I'm looking at the clock because I want to make sure I give Michael enough time for Q&A. We're not going to cover too much about what every column stands for here. Just know that the attendance calculation is not as straightforward as Amy missed, John was present, Frank was absent, and Sharon was absent. So it's a little bit trickier than that because of the attendance rules that we talked about and we covered, meaning, the exemptions. Sometimes people should not show up in your stats, but they still might come to a meeting. For example, your Rule of 85 member, our special person, Olaf, he's Rule of 85. All Olaf is going to do, he's only ever going to increase our attendance figures. He'll never decrease them because our special friend Olaf, his absences never count. All of that is taken into consideration in the attendance calculations. We're not going to go over exactly the attendance calculations. I might try to show you what it is, but we won't go into detail. But that's what you have. That's why you have all these columns. If you remember, these were all the conditions: always count, count if attended, never count. So that's what all this means. The actual attended and the reported figures are what you want to look at. Okay, so the actual attended, this column right here, who physically showed up to the meeting. This is what actual attended means. Did 7 out of 10 bodies, people attend your meeting? So that's what the actual attended means. The reported, what that means is, okay, we know that 7 physical people showed up to the meeting. Now, out of that, maybe 2 or 3 are, never count or count if attended or Rule of 85. So what is the actual reported figure? In other words, taking into account our special exemptions, like count if attended, then what is the figure? So that's why there's not just a simple, well, what's the end goal of attendance? There's actually 2 columns: actual attended, the physical people who are physically showed up to your meeting, and then the reported after we take into account the special designations. So I wanted to just cover that a little bit. Let's actually get into creating a meeting. I'm going to click here on the orange Add Meeting button. Okay, and I can choose any date I want. So I'm going to click on this little calendar icon. It will bring up the calendar. And like I said, this is our special club. It meets once a month. I'm going to click on May. So I'm going to choose May. Okay. And you'll see that the calendar, only goes so far ahead. Remember, you might be thinking, where's July and August and September? That is the next rotary year, right? So you're not going to see a complete list of months because you have to go to next rotary year if you really want to do attendance far in advance. Okay, so I'm going to choose May, and I'm going to choose the first Monday in May, which is May 2nd right here. Every meeting can have a description. The description is optional. So you know what? I'm just not going to type anything in the description. I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to click Save. So I've now created essentially an empty meeting, meaning I have not taken attendance yet. All the numbers are zeroed out, but this is ready to go now. I can start taking meeting attendance for my May 2nd meeting. So you'll see that May 2nd is a different color than all the others. May 2nd has a kind of a white grayish background. All the other meetings have a green background. So when you are creating meetings, you can keep a meeting open. What that means is when the meeting is open, you, the secretary or whoever's in charge, you are still reporting the attendance figures. You're still figuring it out, or maybe you have you're doing some paper copies or whatever. An open meeting means you're not done with that meeting yet, because secretaries are busy. Sometimes they have other things to do. They might be behind a couple of weeks, what have you. The green background denotes that the meeting has been closed. Closed meetings mean you're done with them. I've reported all my figures. It's all set. I don't need to do anything else with that meeting. So this white meeting is the meeting that I haven't actually touched yet. And I can close the meeting. In fact, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the meeting. And it says, you sure you want to do that? Because there's 0%. And I click OK. Here's what happens. When you close this meeting, and by the way, I close it by accident because it's 0%. As soon as you close a meeting, it will then populate the attendance statistics. as long as a meeting is open, it will not affect your meeting statistics. Right now, we probably don't have a very good overall meeting statistics because I just closed a 0% meeting. So, which I didn't mean to do, but that's okay. I want you to know that, oops, I didn't mean to close my May 1st meeting. I can just click reopen. So I'm going to reopen the May 1st meeting, and it says, sure, you want to do that. Click OK. And now I'm ready to report this, the attendance for May 2nd. I'm going to click here on May 2nd. Okay, it's going to let me edit this May 2nd meeting. Now, remember what I said about the meeting statistics and the calculation? I'm just going to show this to you. I'm going to click here on show calculation, and you can see this is the calculation. I won't, just for the sake of this webinar and for brevity's sake, I won't really touch it. So I'm going to click the close. I just wanted you to see that it's not just a, add one, subtract one kind of calculation because of those special exemptions. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down. Right now, everything is 0, so there's really not much to tally up. I'm going to scroll down, and if you are astute, then you might have noticed 3 tabs. This is my attendance tab, where I can take attendance. Essentially, the way to take attendance is to check the box for the members who have attended the meeting. You might have noticed a guests tab, so please put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that. And then a makeups tab, which we'll also come back to. Right now, I just want to focus on attendance for our active members. These are our regular members. They all, count if attended, meaning if they are absent, their absence detracts from your club's overall attendance figures, as well as their own figures. So who showed up to the meeting? Okay, well, I see, I know Sue and Lee and Eddie, they showed up, which is fantastic. John was away, and so on and so forth. Now, this is not even a very large club, but you can see, a pretty good sizable chunk of our members showed up. It is a little tedious to check everyone's box. I wonder if there's a faster way to do this. So I'm going to scroll up, and what I can do is I can click on this checkbox beside the word name, and it just selects everybody at once. And typically speaking, for your average club, that is usually a faster way to get this done, which is select everybody. So pretend everybody came to your meeting, and whoever doesn't show up, just uncheck their box. We only had 3 absences for this particular meeting on May 1st. These 3 people, Cyril, Olaf, and my good friend Test. He or she was not available to come to the meeting. So that's how I did that. And once again, I can check the box to select everyone, or I can check the box again to deselect everyone. So that sometimes will make it faster instead of checking every individual box. Let me just uncheck 3. So 3 of my active members were absent, but everybody else was at the meeting. We had a good meeting. A good chunk of people came. I'm going to scroll down. What about my honorary members? Did any of them show up? Yes. In fact, all of my honorary members showed up. Now, that's a fantastic meeting. We had almost full capacity. We were pretty close. Okay, so I'm done with this meeting, at least in terms of physical people who showed up. Now, I want to scroll up a little bit because I want to talk about one absence, which is Cyril Kornbluth. We're gonna talk about him. He missed this meeting. He actually phoned me. He said, "I'm really busy. I'm gonna do a makeup though." And then this is gonna dovetail into exactly what a makeup is. So we'll come back and visit Cyril Kornbluth. Okay. So I'm gonna scroll down. Okay. This is our honorary member. So most people came. As soon as I click save, what it does is it saves all the meeting information. You can see I have a pretty good high number. 85% of the of my people showed up to this May 2nd meeting, which is a pretty good number. It's pretty fantastic. Okay, now you can of course change this if you made a mistake. If you check someone by accident, you can come back and always edit it. Remember, if you close this attendance meeting, you can reopen it anytime you want. You can edit the attendance if there was a mistake and then close it again. But I'm pretty confident that this meeting was good. We had only 3 absences. It was easy for me to keep track of. If I scroll down, you'll see that all these people are checked and I'm good to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the go back button. Okay, it's going to take me back here. So you can see that this May 2nd has been one of our really good meetings. We only had a one higher one on January. So we did pretty good for this one. Now, this May 2nd meeting will not show up in the attendance statistics because I have not closed it yet. So I'm going to hover over, I'm going to click the close button, and it's going to say, okay, it always warns you. And now the attendance for May 2nd is closed. And all of these figures are now into the attendance reports and the attendance figures. Okay, so let's go back and let's talk about a few things, because you know what? It's now the day after next week, and I, as say the club secretary, I'm like, boy, you know what? The May 2nd meeting, I made a mistake. There was a guest and Cyril had a makeup. So let's talk about that. Let's kind of break that up. A guest is someone who's not a member of your club. Maybe they're just visiting. Maybe you want to keep track of them. Now, first thing I'm going to do is, I made a mistake on May 2nd. I'm going to reopen my May 2nd meeting, and let's start talking about guests and start talking about makeups. So I'm going to click here on May 2nd, okay? And I reported all my members accurately. Like there's 3 absences, that was correct. But you know what I forgot? I forgot to go here to the guests column. So I'm going to click on guests, okay? And I'm going to scroll down. So a guest is essentially any non-member. They're not part of your club, they're not active or honorary, but they came to your meeting and you just want to keep track of them. And guests have no bearing on your attendance figures. It's just a way for you to keep track of a person who comes to a meeting. And by the way, maybe they're a prospective member. So it's always nice to keep track of guests if that's the case. I clicked on the guest tab right here. I'm now going to click on add guest. Okay. And now this pops up and it says, okay, a guest, what type of guest? Are they Rotarian? Are they a speaker? You can keep track of your event, your meeting speakers inside the attendance module. Are they a guest of a member, or are they a generic catch-all term other? I'm going to say other. All of these sound great to me, but in this case, this was just someone who actually called me the other week and he's like, can I just come to your meeting? I just want to see what it's about. He didn't say he wanted to join. He just said he wanted to check out the meeting. So I'm going to classify this person as other, but you can, of course, classify them as anything else. And his first name was John and his last name was Doe. All right. So, you know what? John Doe gave me his email, which is even better. So, so here, I'll just put in something. If you can keep track of guests this way, you can now reach out to John or whoever your guest is later. So if John comes to the meeting and you might not hear from him for another week or two, because John gave me his email address, I can email him and say, hey, John, thanks for coming to the meeting. Would you like to come again? Do you have any questions? And so on. Okay. You can add a note, and the note can be anything you want. I'm going to put this in his guest note. John may be interested in membership. The keywords being maybe, but still, he might be a prospective member. And it's always a good idea to keep track of that. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me scroll down again. Okay. This is very important. There's a checkbox. You are not allowed to save until you check this box. I have received consent from John to store his information, specifically his name and email, in the system. So it just means that, John is okay with the club storing his information so that he can be, reached at a later time. I spoke with John at the May 2nd meeting. I sat beside him actually, and I said, John, do you mind if we, follow up with you in a couple of weeks? And John's like, yeah, sure. So I'm going to check the box. I'm going to click save. And now I've got my first meeting guest. If I scroll down, there's John. The really nice part about this is John is basically in here now. If you completely forget about John in 2 months, you can run a guest report and find out there's someone at our main meeting. What was his name again? You can look him up later. And that's what we're going to do. Okay. So I'm done with my guest. Let's talk about a makeup. Remember I said Cyril Kornbruth, he missed our meeting for May 2nd. But you know what he did? He volunteered at a different organization, Salvation Army, what have you. He went and he volunteered somewhere. and we're going to count that as a as a makeup. In other words, even though he missed this meeting, we're going to count his participation in a separate charity as a meeting makeup. This is up to your club. Your club decides how a person qualifies for a makeup. Our club loves that people are volunteering elsewhere, and so they're going to give credit by giving them meeting makeups. So I'm going to click here on the makeups tab. I'm going to move away from guests and click on makeups. Okay, I'm going to scroll down, and what I can do is actually, let's explore this a little bit. The first section is I can actually add a makeup. I'm going to add a makeup for Cyril. Okay, but what I can do here is I can apply a makeup for missed members. So what is the difference between makeups, this section, and apply makeups? Why do you have two different sections? So this, you can just add a makeup. It's kind of a manual entry. This is a special section because what this does is it tells you, guess what? These members, they missed the meeting. You can add a makeup if they have, if they have any makeups banked. So, and this is where we're going to start getting into makeups. Okay, Olaf and my good friend Test have 0 qualified banked makeups. Let's kind of deconstruct that a little bit. It's the qualified portion of this text means, do they have something that is qualified for this meeting? In other words, do they have a makeup, but it's not like 3 years old or, outside of our time range? So that's one. That's what qualified means. Banked is the makeup in their makeup bank. It's the term is exactly like a money bank. They actually put something in a bank and they can actually withdraw it later and apply that banked makeup to any meeting they missed. In the case of Olaf and my friend Test, they don't have anything that applies. In other words, there's nothing to apply for Olaf or Test. They don't have a makeup that I can apply to this meeting. However, Cyril does. He's got 2 makeups, of which one of them actually qualifies for today. So in other words, he's actually got something that I can apply. If I click auto assign makeup, I can actually take an older makeup that Cyril had and apply it to this meeting. And now Cyril did not miss this meeting because a makeup was applied. So even though he was absent, he's not counted. He's got the makeup applied. Okay, so but here's the thing. Cyril is so conscientious. Not only does he have a banked makeup, but he felt bad about missing, the May meeting, and he actually went and he volunteered for a few hours at a different organization. And I'm going to give him another makeup. You can see that Cyril is actually going to have a couple more makeups available, but that's fine. That might be the way that some of your conscientious members might end up. They might have a lot of makeups. So let's talk about what adding a makeup and exactly what the process is. I'm going to click here on add makeup. Okay. And what I can do is first I'm going to search for my member Cyril. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to look for Cyril Kornbluth. Okay. Right here. All right, so here's Cyril. I can, by the way, choose to show inactive members. We're not going to talk about that in today's webinar. Okay, so when did Cyril do his makeup? Well, he did it in the month of April because it was just before the May meeting. So I'm going to click the little calendar and I'm going to go back to April 2022 and just near, let's say Saturday, April 30th, just as an example, Cyril volunteered at an organization. And you know what? I have no idea. Let's just put something in. He volunteered at Codes for Kids. Okay, I'm just making something up, but he went to a different place. He volunteered for a couple hours on the weekend. Once again, our club loves that members, spend time outside their busy schedules to go volunteer. Cyril earns himself a makeup by doing that. Okay, so okay, now we understand. He's earned a makeup. What is this? Why are there makeup types? What is banked versus auto-assigned versus apply to a meeting? So you can take a makeup and you can bank it. What we kind of talked about it briefly. You're putting this makeup in a bank and withdrawing it later so that Cyril can have 3, 4, 10 makeups in his bank of makeups. What that means is if he's, going to miss a couple meetings, he's got those in the bank. And remember, our makeups have an eligibility window. So those makeups will not last forever. They'll last in this club, they'll last 1 year. So that's what banked means. Let's talk about auto assign. What auto assign means is you're allowing the system to go backwards in time, find the most recent club meeting, and it looks at, I'm sorry, I should rephrase, the most recent club meeting that member missed, and then go through the list and say, okay, Cyril missed a meeting 2 months ago. He's got a makeup that qualifies him. I'm going to apply that makeup to the most recent meeting that he missed, which was the one in April. In other words, auto assign means you're letting the club runner system do the work for you. Okay, so you can absolutely do that, and it will go back in time and find any meetings he missed and apply a makeup if he's got a makeup. That's what auto assign means. Let's talk about apply to a meeting. If you want to do this yourself, you click on apply to a meeting, and when I click on the pull down menu, not every meeting shows up. Only the meetings that Cyril missed will show up here. So you can manually apply this special makeup to any meeting you choose to. I'm going to apply it to the main meeting, but just, you know what? Yes, I'm going to apply it to the main meeting, but just so you know, you can take a makeup and you can apply it to a meeting in the past, and it doesn't matter if the meeting is closed. March and January, those meetings are closed. You can still apply a makeup to a meeting that is closed. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could go all the way back to January and say, you know what, Cyril, our makeup window is 1 year. I'm gonna get rid of all your absences, right? If you have 3 makeups. But for today, just to keep things simple, Cyril is going to get the makeup for May 2nd. I'm gonna click on that, okay? And then I'm gonna click save. And now I've given Cyril a makeup, meaning he's technically, even though he was absent, he gets a makeup for this attendance. Notice our attendance figure has risen. Okay, so now let's go. Let me just see here. Let's just scroll down. Okay, and you can see here Cyril. Okay, and I just gave him a makeup. Let's say I made a mistake for whatever reason. I can unassign the makeup. What that means is I can take the makeup away, put it back into Cyril's banks of makeups, and then apply it whenever I choose. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to scroll down, and you can see Cyril's name is no longer here on the apply makeups because his makeup has already been applied. These 2 people who were absent, their names are here, but there's no makeups to apply, so we can't do anything. We can manually add a makeup for Olaf or for Test, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to click the go back button, okay, and we're going to go back to our meeting here, okay. So and then I'm going to click the go back meeting one more time right here, and I want to go see the list of actually here. Let's go here. I'm going to click here on meetings one more time. And then this actually brings me back to the list of my meetings. And you can see, hey, now because I applied Cyril's makeup, my attendance went up a little bit. This actually is a pretty good meeting. We had 90% reported attendance, right? And then physically speaking, 85% of our club showed up. Okay, I'm going to click close because I'm done with this meeting. So this meeting is over. And then now we move on to next month's and so on and so forth. Before we get to Q&A, what I want to do is I want to cover a few things. We haven't really talked about the reports section, okay? So I'm just letting this go for a second. I'm sorry. So while Club Runner is processing, sorry, I might have clicked it too fast. What the next section we're going to move in, we're going to move into the reports section. So on top of being able to report your attendance, I'm sorry, being able to input and keep all your attendance. You can run reports on everything. Now, let me just see. I'm sorry. I'm going to pause for a moment. Sorry about that. Let me just see here. I'm going to click on meetings again. There it is. It was just, it took a bit of time, but the meeting did close. You can see May 2nd is now green. So we're going to move on. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the report section, and we're just going to go in order. So let's talk first about the first report, which is print member list / attendance sheet. This is a printable attendance sheet for your club. A lot of clubs, they still do paper attendance. We recognize that, and we want them to have a nice little attendance sheet that they can print and modify as they'd like. So what this is, I can print this. I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to click the blue print button right here. And you can see, I'm actually not going to print. I'm going to hit cancel. And this is a page that will print, that I can take to the meeting. I can put it on a clipboard, and now I'm doing attendance manually. Some people love doing it that way because they then have a paper copy as well as the information they've been put in the club runner. Whatever works for your club. There's no wrong answers. I'm going to close this tab, and I'm going to click on print member list simple version, and I'm going to scroll down. This is a simplified printed page rather than the first one. This is actually much simpler. It's a list of all your members, and then did they attend, yes or no? Were there any guests? That's it. So if I print this page, it's an even simpler printed version of my previous version. So this is a second printed version of your attendance sheet. I'm going to close this browser tab. Let's move on to attendance report by year. So how is my club doing, or I'm sorry, how are my club members doing this year? As I scroll down the list, YTD stands for year to date, and I can see, let's see how my members are doing. Lee has only been to 40% of my meetings. We have a lot of members with 100% attendance, so on and so forth. So you can kind of see how people are doing at a glance with the attendance report by year. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. I'm going to click on monthly club report. Okay. This is very similar to how district attendance gets reported. Remember, today we're not covering district attendance. When you do district attendance does not necessarily break down attendance by every member. It breaks it down per meeting. That's what the monthly club report does. At a glance, how is your attendance doing month over month? Just kind of like a thumbnail sketch of your attendance. And these figures, which are basically just percentages for the club meeting, that's how the district keeps track of attendance. It doesn't keep track of every individual member's attendance. Individual member attendance gets kept track of here on our club website. Okay, I want to talk about customized attendance report. Okay, so this is going to show kind of a way. This is a way for you to figure out. Let's go over a date range. You know what? Since the beginning of this new year, January 2022, how are we doing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my date range. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this little calendar icon. I'm going to click on January 1st. Okay, the new year, and then right up till today's date, I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to click go. And now I can generate a custom report of just the months in question. Okay, this list tends to get very large because on purpose I did meetings once a month just so it's a little easier to see. But your club, especially now in May, you probably had dozens of meetings since July 1st, 2021. So your list may be very long in terms of there might be lots of columns. Every column is a meeting, and every little check here. Did she attend January 3rd? Yes. February? Nope. She got a makeup for March 1st, missed April, and she attended the May 2nd meeting. And you can see all of that for all your members at a glance. Okay. You can also print this page, although like I said, if you go for a very large date range, let's say you try to do a date range of say 6 months and you're doing meetings every week, it's going to be a very, very wide page because you're going to have lots and lots of columns. Okay, but it's there and it's there for you to glance at so you can check your members' attendance. And I want to talk about the guest report. So let's click on guest reports. Okay, so we talked about we are keeping track of our guests. Well, oh, I picked a bad name. Now there's a John D from March 22nd, but that's not who we're talking about. There was a John Doe on May 2nd. And guess what? John may be interested in membership. And there's his email address. I can email John and I can say, hey, John, thanks for coming on May 2nd. Can I give you more info? Would you like to come? So on and so forth. This guest report is fantastic for keeping track of all those non-members who may sometimes randomly come to your meeting. Maybe you won't see them for several weeks or several months. You can still keep track of everybody who comes to your meeting who's a non-member. Use that guest feature and then click on guest reports. You'll get a report of all the guests for the Rotary year, which you can also, by the way, export and print. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand off to Michael. I'm giving some time for Q&A, and I want to thank you for hanging in there. But let's make sure that Michael has a chance to get to some Q&A today.
Thank you very much, Mickey. Thank you for the very wonderful webinar. You provided a whole lot of great information for everyone. There was a bunch of different questions in the chat. Though one recurring question that I did see come up quite a bit was specifically in regards to the attendance rules and settings, specifically how you change how attendance is counted for each individual member. So I know Mickey did go over this a little bit, and I did answer a couple of questions during the webinar, but I do want to go over this one more time just so that everyone can be on the same page before we get going. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take over the screen share from here. Let's see. So there we go. So now you guys should be able to see my screen. And then just to confirm, we are on the attendance dashboard page here, where we have the really quick information about some of our recent meetings. And in this case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our attendance rules/settings for our attendance module. So we're going to go over to the left-hand side menu, and under the settings tab, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. We have the attendance rules/settings option. If we go here and we scroll down just a little bit, we have access to these various different settings where we can change how your membership is counted, when they attend, or if they say they don't attend the meeting and they may have missed it. So for each of these different sections, we have the ability to edit this options for our individual membership types. We can set these options for some special statuses like the excused and rule of 85 members, as Mickey discussed, as well as some leaves of absences. So just to confirm once again, these three options, always count, count if attended, and never count, will change how an individual member is counted towards the overall attendance statistics. So if you see, we have our active members set to always count. So regardless of whether they attend or they miss a meeting for your club, they will be affecting the overall attendance records and statistics for your club. So if they were to attend, they will be able to positively affect your attendance ratio by boosting it upwards, saying that they've attended. But if they don't, they will be negatively affecting your attendance, as that is one less person that is attending, reducing your overall attendance percentage. The count if attended option, again, is this is usually reserved for honorary members or rule of 85 members, or just whatever status you want to allow clubs to do this for. But individuals with this specific status will only affect your club's attendance ratio positively. So if they attend the meeting, your attendance ratio or your attendance percentage will go up. So it can only increase it and it can only make it better. If they don't attend, their information won't be counted in general. So they won't even be included as a person that may have attended the meeting. They'll only be included if they actually attend. And then finally, the never count option just means that the individual won't affect your attendance ratios either or. So if they attend, it won't increase it. If they don't attend, it won't decrease it. So these are really good ways that you can go in and you can fine tune exactly how these different statuses or membership types will affect your overall attendance rating. So let's go ahead and we can talk about some other questions that I did see. I know Mickey also did go over this just a little bit. He mentioned that when you go through and you edit your attendance within your club, it will also get sent over to the district. Now, I did want to really quickly go over how you can record your attendance at the district level and how you can double check your stats are being sent over to them correctly. So this can all be done provided that your district does also use Club Runner and is subscribed to the Club Runner platform. And if they do, you can go over and you can go visit your district's website and you can log in using the exact same login information that you would for your club's own website, and which I've already done this. So I'm going to switch tabs over here and you can see we are now on the Club Runner demo district for the club that we were just working on. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to go to the For Clubs tab in the top blue navigation menu. This is the section that you'll be working with if you are using the district's website. But in this specific case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to Club Attendance Report. Now, this is the page that you'll see when you access the attendance report through the district's website. Now, you might notice that some of the fields here are not being filled out. That's because I'm logged in as another member from another club. But you can see here that you have the option to enter in all of the information that Mickey shown was available within your monthly attendance report on your club's website. So you can enter in the number of members at the end of the month, the amount of new members that may have joined your club within that month, the number of members that have been terminated, the number of meetings that you've held for your club, as well as the overall attendance percentage for these individuals. So I did really want to quickly go over this just so that you guys do know what this looks like. And if you want to make sure that everything is being reported correctly to your district, you can log in to your district's website to double check this. I do see, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a new question that I saw in the chat here from Rosie. How do you separate active main club members from active satellite members, as some members attend both meetings once in a while? So unfortunately, this is something that the attendance system can't really handle right now. As the satellite club is technically just a part of your own club until they obtain their own charter. We usually recommend that satellite members are just included within a single meeting. So you can say you have one meeting report where you'll report the attendance for both meetings, for example. So that way you won't really have to deal with creating multiple different meetings and having your attendance ratios all kind of out of whack. We recommend recording everything under one single meeting for the main club as well as the satellite club. And so we are just about out of time. There's a few things I did want to show you guys before we get going. One is a fairly often question that we receive is, do clubs really have to go in and manually record all of the different attendance for each of our individual members? So you can definitely go ahead and do that. You can go through and you can do it the way that Mickey said, where let's see here, if we go back to our meetings and we can go open up one of our other meetings, or one of the meetings that we have here, you can go in and you can manually select the individual members that have attended your meetings. But another feature that Club Runner does offer, this is an add-on that you can add, that you can get afterwards for an additional fee, is the barcode scanner module. What this will do is will allow you to really easily record and upload your attendance information to the attendance module. So that way you don't have to manually go in and record the attendance for each member. So what you can do instead is you can sign up for this this add-on module, and you'll be able to take just about any barcode scanning device. You'll be able to print out a sheet of barcodes within Club Runner, and you can use these barcodes with the scanner to scan them into a text file that is provided by the barcode scanner itself. And what you can do with this text file is you can take it and you can upload it into the attendance module for your individual meetings, and it will automatically enter in and record the attendance for everyone that had attended your meetings. So this way, it's the whole recording process goes a lot simpler, or is a lot simpler and a lot quicker for your club, your secretary, or whoever is entering in your attendance information. So if you can scroll, so see just down here, here's an example of what these barcodes might look like. And then if we scroll down here, here's a little bit more information on the individual pricing of this module as well. So if you are a club under 100 members, there will be a monthly fee of $8. And then you can also choose whether you want to purchase a barcode scanner from Club Runner, or you can go out and you can source one for yourself. If you guys are interested in this barcode module, I do recommend checking this out and taking a great look. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post a link in the chat here. So if you guys want to take a look at this page, you definitely can. And so that just about wraps up the Q&A session for this webinar today. If you guys did have any other questions, or we may have missed one or two during the webinar, and you want to make sure that you can get an answer, we will be going over and re-reviewing all of these questions and posting them to our Club Runner community and support knowledge base later on throughout the month. But if you want an answer right away, we recommend that you come and visit our clubrunnersupport.com website, which we see here. I'll go ahead and post a link to that as well. And this is we call this our support knowledge base, where myself, Mickey, and our other support colleagues will come in here and we will post about various different help articles and tutorials, videos, and guides, as well as webinar recordings like the one that we're doing right now. Those will all be posted to our support knowledge base here. So you can come in and you can ask a question. So say you want some more information regarding the attendance module. You can either search it up at the top using the search bar, or you can scroll down to the club help section. If we click on that, we can then go into club administration. And from here, we have access to the attendance module section, where we have a bunch of different articles that you can take a look at to help you get more familiar with the attendance module and how you can use it. And now, if you don't find an article that perfectly answers the question that you're looking for, you can always go ahead and click on the Contact Us button in the top right corner. And from here, you can go ahead and you can send us an email. So this will be received by our support team. And either myself, Mickey, or again, some of our other support colleagues will be able to go in, we'll receive your email, and we will respond back to you with information that, regarding the question that you may have or any issues that you might be running into. So if you guys are ever stuck, please do feel free to reach out to our support team and we'll be glad to help. Now, with that said, that will conclude the webinar for today. So thank you all very much for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Take care, guys.